a mother branded as the wretched woman by her own family, rises from the ashes of betrayal and prison, building a secret empire that no one sees coming, until she crashes her estranged sons, wedding like a force of nature. Buckle up, because today I'm sharing the incredible true-inspired story of Claudette Jones, a tale of heartbreak, hustle, and hard-won triumph that hits right in the feels. You know, as an American storyteller, I've heard a lot of comeback stories, folks pulling themselves up by their bootstraps in the heartland, chasing dreams from small-town diners to big city boardrooms. But Claudette's, it's got that raw, emotional punch that reminds us all of the resilience baked into the American spirit. We're talking about a woman from the wrong side of the tracks who faced the ultimate betrayal, lost everything, and clawed her way back in ways that would make anyone rethink what rock bottom really means. Grab your coffee, settle in on that comfy couch like we're chatting over a backyard barbecue, and let's dive into her world. This isn't just a story. It's a roller coaster of hope, sadness, nostalgia, and that deep empathy we all feel when life throws curveballs. It all starts back in the late 80s, in a modest suburb outside Chicago. Think picket fences that aren't quite white, kids riding bikes down cracked sidewalks, and families scraping by on factory jobs and overtime shifts. Claudette was just a young woman then, full of that wide-eyed optimism you get when you fall in love young. She grew up in a tight-knit Black community where church potlucks were the highlight of the week, and folks looked out for each other, sharing recipes for soul food that could warm you from the inside out. But life wasn't easy. Her folks worked double shifts at a local warehouse, and Claudette learned early on that nothing came without sweat. She met Howard Jones at a neighborhood block party, fireworks popping overhead, the smell of grilled burgers wafting through the air, and Motown tunes blasting from a boombox. Howard was charming, from a family that owned a small trucking business, the kind that hauled goods across the Midwest, keeping shelves stocked in grocery stores from Illinois to Indiana. At first, it felt like a fairy tale. They got married in a simple ceremony at the local community center, with plastic chairs lined up and a homemade cake from Claudette's aunt. But right from the start, there were cracks. Howard's family, his mom especially, never warmed to her. You'd hear those whispers at family gatherings, the kind that sting like a paper cut. She's from the projects. She doesn't fit in our world. Claudette brushed it off, focusing on building a life. She worked odd jobs, waitressing at a diner where truckers tipped in quarters, cleaning houses for folks in the nicer neighborhoods to help make ends meet. And when Damien came along in the early 90s, oh man, that boy was her everything. Picture a chubby-cheeked toddler with her smile, running around their small backyard, chasing fireflies on summer evenings, while Claudette pushed him on a rusty swing set. She'd stay up all night when he had a fever, rocking him in her arms, humming old gospel songs her grandma taught her. Motherhood wasn't glamorous. It was PB and J sandwiches for lunch, patching up jeans with needle and thread, and budgeting every penny from Howard's paycheck. But it was hers, and she poured her soul into it. But life has a way of turning on you, doesn't it? The trouble started when Howard's business hit rough waters. The economy was shifting, factories closing, jobs vanishing like morning mist, and he made some bad calls. Shady loans, fudged books to keep things afloat. When the authorities caught wind, it all came crashing down. And who did Howard's family blame? Not their golden boy. No, they pointed the finger at Claudette. She signed those papers, they said. She took the money. Lies, all of it. Howard stood there silent, watching as his own wife became the scapegoat. Claudette remembers the day they arrested her like it was yesterday. The sirens blaring down their quiet street. Neighbors peeking through curtains. Damien clinging to the doorframe. His little voice crying, "Mommy, Mommy." She screamed back, fighting against the cuffs. But it was no use. Howard's mom pulled Damien inside, whispering poison in his ear even then. The courtroom was a blur of cold benches and echoing gavels. Claudette, dressed in an ill-fitting suit from the thrift store, sat there as witnesses. Howard's relatives twisted the story. She was sentenced to years behind bars for crimes she didn't commit. As they led her away, she caught one last glimpse of Damien, his face streaked with tears. That image haunted her every night in that cramped cell, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry bees. Prison life. It's the stuff of nightmares, but Claudette made it through by clinging to memories. The smell of Damien's baby shampoo, his giggles during tickle fights on lazy Sunday mornings. She wrote letters, hundreds of them, pouring out her love on cheap paper. Remember when we baked cookies and burned them all? I miss your laugh, my sweet boy. But most never made it past the prison mailroom, intercepted by Howard's family. They built a wall around Damien, feeding him stories that his mom was a wretched woman who chose crime over him, who didn't care enough to fight. Oh, the sadness of those years. Mother's days came and went like punches to the gut. Claudette would see other inmates clutching handmade cards from their kids, tears streaming down their faces, while she sat empty-handed, staring at the gray walls. She'd imagine Damien growing up, playing Little League baseball on dusty fields, eating hot dogs at 4th of July picnics, graduating high school in a cap and gown under stadium lights. But she wasn't there for any of it. Second-hand news trickled in through prison grapevines. He's tall now, plays basketball like a pro or worse. He calls Howard's new girlfriend Mom. Each snippet was a dagger twisting deeper. Nostalgia hit hard too, remembering family road trips to the Great Lakes, stopping at roadside stands for fresh corn, or cozy winter nights watching holiday movies on their old VCR. All gone, replaced by the clang of cell doors and the ache of isolation. But here's where the hope creeps in, friends. Claudette didn't break. That rage, the burning injustice, became her fuel. While others numbed out or gave up, she fought. She earned her GED in prison, studying late into the night under dim lights, dreaming of a life beyond bars. When she finally walked out those gates in the early 2000s, the Chicago wind whipping her face, she had nothing. A bus ticket, $40, and a felony record that slammed doors shut. No family waiting, no home to return to. She ended up in a halfway house, the kind with creaky beds and strict curfews, where women shared stories over instant coffee. Job hunting. Brutal. Applications asked that dreaded question: have you been convicted of a felony? Check yes, and watch the interviewer's face change. So she took what she could, scrubbing motel toilets where truckers left messes, flipping burgers at greasy spoons until her feet blistered, mopping office floors after hours while the city lights twinkled outside. Those were the lows, the grinding days that test your soul. Claudette walked miles to save bus fare, wore the same faded jeans until they frayed, and ate ramen noodles in her tiny room, the walls echoing with loneliness. But at night, while others partied or drowned sorrows, she'd head to the public library, that classic American haven with worn bookshelves and free computers. She'd devour books on finance, real estate, starting businesses. Knowledge is power, she'd whisper to herself, copying notes by hand, memorizing terms like ROI and equity. It was nostalgia for a better life mixed with sheer determination, the kind you see in every underdog story from Rocky to the local entrepreneur bootstrapping a food truck. Then came the spark. One night, mopping an office, she overheard two young assistants chatting about Airbnb, this new thing where you rent out your space to travelers. Made half my rent in a weekend. One said. Claudette froze, mop in hand. Half her rent. That was gold. Back at the library, she researched it, her heart pounding. Her one-room apartment was nothing fancy, peeling paint, a lumpy bed. But she cleaned it spotless, borrowed a camera from a halfway house friend, and listed it online. Priced low, thinking no one would bite. But boom, first booking, a couple road tripping through the Midwest. They paid cash, left a 5-star review, cozy and welcoming. That weekend payout, life-changing. It was like tasting freedom again. From there, the hustle kicked into overdrive. Claudette rearranged her space, thrift shopped for cute decor, vintage lamps from garage sales, throw pillows that screamed Midwest charm. Bookings rolled in. Families visiting colleges, business folks attending conventions at McCormick Place. She juggled day jobs with hosting, scrubbing between guests, managing listings on library PCs. Her hands raw, back aching, but each deposit built her savings. Within a year, she moved to a 2-bedroom, renting one out full-time. Neighbors raised eyebrows, strangers in your home. Crazy, but she saw opportunity. This was America at its core, turning what you have into something more, like those pioneers staking claims or inventors tinkering in garages. 2 years later, she rented her first house, a fixer-upper in a Chicago suburb, the kind with overgrown yards and potential. She painted walls on weekends, fixed leaky faucets with YouTube tutorials back when it was just starting to boom, and listed it. Travelers loved it. Feels like home. Profits snowballed. One property became 2, then 4. She expanded to Charlotte, North Carolina, drawn by the booming real estate market, Southern hospitality vibes, and lower costs. Picture her driving down tree-lined streets, spotting for sale signs on rundown bungalows, negotiating deals over sweet tea at kitchen tables. Banks turned her away because of her record. So she used creative financing, partnering with trusted folks, forming LLCs to keep her name quiet. Competitors underestimated her. A Black woman with a past. In real estate. But she outworked them all, mastering zoning laws, market trends, and renovations. By her mid-50s, Claudette's empire was thriving properties from bustling Houston high-rises to quiet Midwest towns. He'd wake to the ping of bookings, sip coffee overlooking city skylines she owned pieces of, and reinvest every dime. No flashy cars or designer bags. She lived modestly, in a cozy condo with views of Lake Michigan, cooking family recipes like fried chicken and collard greens to remind herself of roots. But success brought highs and lows. Highs, closing a deal on a vacation rental near the Smoky Mountains for that American getaway feel, feeling that rush of accomplishment. Lows, the nagging emptiness. Amian was out there, living his life, graduating college, landing a corporate job in sales, dating women who fit his perfect world. Claudette hired discreet folks to keep tabs. He's engaged now to a teacher named Vanessa. She'd drive by his neighborhood sometimes, heart aching, watching lights flicker in windows, wondering if he ever thought of her. Nostalgia hit like waves, remembering Damien's first bike ride on wobbly training wheels, or family picnics in Grant Park with sandwiches and frisbee. Sadness too, holidays alone, while imagining him at Howard's table, carving turkey with a family that erased her. But empathy grew. She understood how lies poison young minds, how Howard's family manipulated him. Aunt Louisa, her rock, a wise older relative with a sharp tongue and warm hugs, would say over phone calls, "Let go, child. You've built this life, don't chain it to him." They'd chat for hours, Louisa sharing stories from her own struggles in the civil rights era, reminding Claudette that resilience runs in their blood. Then the call. It was a quiet afternoon in 2025, Claudette in her study, surrounded by deeds and ledgers, the Chicago skyline gleaming outside. Phone rings, unknown number. She answers, and that voice deeper now, but unmistakable. "Claudette," he says, "not Mom." Her heart stops. "Damien." After 20 plus years of silence. "I'm getting married. Of course, you'll want to be there." But the tone, cold, sneering. "I'll finally show everyone the wretched woman in her rags." Oh, the pain of that moment, hope flickering, then crushed. But Claudette, she laughed, steel in her voice. "I'll be there." Click. That call ignited something fierce. Damien wanted to humiliate her. Fine. She'd turn it into her reveal. Preparation was meticulous. Hearing bodyguards, tall, professional guys like those protecting CEOs at Fortune 500 events. Ordering a Rolls-Royce Ghost Silver, gliding like a phantom through city streets. Tailoring a navy suit that hugged her curves, pearls from a high-end jeweler, heels that clicked with authority. It wasn't vanity, it was armor. She pulled out an old photo of young Damien, traced his smile, felt that tug of blood, but she locked it away. This was about resolve. Wedding day. Clear skis over an upscale venue in suburban Illinois, manicured lawns, string lights twinkling like stars, guests in sundresses and polos mingling with champagne. The Rolls pulls up, heads turn. Bodyguards step out first, then Claudette poised, powerful. Whispers erupt. Who is she? Howard gasps, face paling. Damien. He sways, blood draining, gripping a chair. Vanessa, the bride, looks confused in her white gown. Claudette approaches, extends a hand. I'm Claudette Jones, Damien's mother. The air thickens, music falters. At the reception, elegant tables with floral centerpieces, a band playing soft jazz, tensions boil. Howard's sister toasts smugly, proud of Damien for forgiving his past. Claudette rises, glass in hand, a toast to the couple. But let me share the truth. She unravels it all: arrest, lies, prison, rise. Guests gasp, Vanessa's eyes widen. Damien explodes. You ruined everything. Shouting, pointing, unraveling. But Claudette stays calm, her composure a stark contrast. Later, alone, I don't hate you, but I don't love you anymore. Live with your choices. As she leaves, head high, bodyguards flanking, the wretched woman is no more. Damien's left with his ruin. Friends, Claudette's story teaches us betrayal hurts, but resilience heals. In America, we rise not for revenge, but for ourselves. We've all faced lows, let her inspire your highs. If this moved you, subscribe, share your stories below. Until next time, keep chasing that light.